Hey guys, and welcome to another brand new video. In this video, we actually have some kind of crazy news over here because we're now seeing people live tracking literal airplanes to go and track the Sony and Xbox connections. Now, as you guys probably know, there's been a really big kind of debate when it comes to the Acquisition acquisition, and well, there's been a lot of talks of Sony trying to block it, trying to get the best deal they can, Xbox trying to go and do whatever they can to try to go make this deal go through, and everything all tied together has been a little bit of a, well, cluster. And it's been all over the place. There's been drama, there's been talks, there's been regulators, there's been CMAs, there's been the FTCs, and well, it's been kind of a hassle. But now, we are now seeing both PlayStation and Xbox users, and people, myself included, now tracking private corporate jets to go and see basically where these things are going, where these planes are ending up, and there's been a very, very surprising one where we actually now might be seeing Sony interact with Xbox for pretty much the first time ever when it comes to this deal and these really big negotiations. So some pretty at least in my opinion, intriguing news going on here throughout the weekend, so make sure you guys, I guess we'll give you guys more deets if we hear more about it. So make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below in case you guys want to follow. We have the Target links down below and all the Amazon links too. And let's dive into the video after you guys go subscribe because, well, this one has been a little bit of an intriguing one. So first and foremost, we've been seeing now these articles where Xbox fans and PlayStation fans and anyone who's kind of intrigued on this deal are literally now tracking the executive Sony plane over here to go and see what's going on with these potential Activision Blizzard deals. Now, this is a big deal because apparently, we'll go through the articles and everyone talk about this, apparently these planes have not been in these areas, they have not specifically gone to Seattle to interact with these folks and everything in between. So it's kind of crazy. So fans hoping to track the progress of the Microsoft's beleaguered $68 billion Activision Blizzard deal are now monitoring flights made by the executive private aircraft. So as you guys know, Sony's a pretty big company, so if you want to have your CEO fly out somewhere, they got that private jet, they got that champagne, they got them probably maids on there, and it's probably a nice nifty time. Because sometimes you have a deal that same day, or sometimes you have a call being like, hey, we need to see you tomorrow, get on the flight now, we'll talk to you soon. And this is kind of apparently what people are hoping or speculating is ongoing right now. Flights made by the private jet owned by Sony have been used to back up suggestions of a meeting now that have been being leaked between Sony executives and Microsoft in early February. So a lot of folks right now are apparently assuming that there's going to be a big deal either planned or a big deal in the works, or at least they have finally decided to be like, hey, if we really want to make this deal work, Xbox, give us your best offer. Let's see if we can go and sit here in a room with a coffee or maybe go to a nice fancy dinner. I don't know what these executives do. And let's go and get this hashed out. It's either going to work or it's not. Let's make the call. This is kind of your last chance to see. So publicly available flight information shows that a Sony jet flying from London to Seattle, where Microsoft is headquartered, around a month ago for the first such visit in over 18 months before then traveling on to LA. Interesting. So online plane aficionados have now been confirming this as they've been tracking all these planes and seeing all this information over here, that they used the one private jet that is registered to Sony and operated by the company to transport its really big, the big wigs, the executives, around the world. As reported by Foss Patents over here, which has actually been doing a lot of tracking on the Microsoft deal. So you guys can even see the little plane right down there below. This has been some crazy, crazy stuff. And also, same time too, why would you ever get stopped in Seattle in the first place if you didn't have a reason to go be there? And as you guys know, Microsoft's headquarters is in Seattle. Now, as of right this second, this is still big speculation, which is why it's kind of crazy news, because there is no apparent confirmation of what Sony was doing in Seattle at the time, and my first thought was that the company could also just be visiting its own team at Bungie too. There is always this is the chance, it can kind of go either way. But this is why a lot of folks are curious, because if you guys are kind of following up the news when it comes to PlayStation and Google, Apple, and this Xbox acquisition, is that there is a huge report that came out only a few days ago from Europe, and you guys can see the Sony plane was in Europe. And that also had the CMA come out, where the CMA was actually somewhat kind of against the Activision acquisition because they're dealing with antitrust laws, monopoly laws, and basically going and calling out Microsoft and saying that they're kind of inhibiting the growth of the, gaming universe, and as well also might be affecting the gaming universe too as well, pretty heavily, pretty heavily. So there's always that big chance that they were literally, like Sony was in London or in like the UK to go and, well, deal with this stuff and talk with these folks or try to go and be like, hey, like this is how we want this dude to be presented and we're not happy with how it's going so far. And then as well, they can maybe even be flying over to Seattle. Granted, as I even mentioned, could have been over for, Bungie or maybe some other conference or whatever, because Bungie is owned by Sony and is over there. But a lot of folks are like, well, if this is like a huge, big cornerstone of the, well, this big acquisition, and there's also a lot of rumors that Sony stopped wanting to talk to Xbox and we're ghosting them, this may have actually just had it go and escalate high enough where all the big wigs had to go and sit down and be like, hey, like, we can't have these middlemen come over here. It has to be like Jim Ryan, the head honcho, and Phil Spencer, the head honcho, in a one-on-one, like, boxing match or something to go and see who actually gets the rights or what they can go and do for this one. So as you guys can kind of see over here from the hard evidence, that basically the Sony executives flew from London. I'll just give you guys the big heads up for this one. They actually flew from London to Seattle in a Falcon 8X on February 6th, presumably to negotiate Call of Duty license with Microsoft over here. And you guys can kind of see the actual overall flight pattern, which is kind of covering my webcam, but just a little dot, like just mention a little circle right there, just going all the way over there, and then, well, going all the way over here, so you guys can go and see. Very, very intriguing too as well. So this is like, once again, not 1000% confirmed, but it's what a lot of people on the internet are watching. They're speculating. They're trying to go and figure out what this is, because the timelines make sense. And right now, especially with like the public information, everything being quiet when it comes to the deal, like the progression with the FTC and also the CMA commissioners also makes sense. So we're going to have to go and see from there. It was also previously reported that PlayStation boss Jim Ryan flew to Brussels to contest Microsoft's deal to EU regulators in person. Now, we've also been hearing this from multiple other folks too as well, mainly because with this, it just goes to show that Sony does not want this deal. Like, I think most folks know this if you guys have been watching my coverage on this. Sony does not want this deal to go through. They are not happy with this. They do not like this. They do not want to go and lose Call of Duty. But if you can go and somehow fly to Microsoft and say, hey, Phil Spencer, my dude, like, you give us Call of Duty forever, and then maybe you get, like, pre-orders first, sure. Or maybe, hey, like, let us go and have a freebie every once in a while. Or let's just have the same release date. The regulators are on you already. Why not? Like, give us a freebie. Like, throw us a bone, and we'll let you guys maybe let this deal go through, but you got to get some good contracts in. And that's why I kind of think Sony's been doing, because they realize that all these really big trade commissioners and antitrust and monopoly issues are just very against this. Like, they're afraid of Microsoft taking over the world. They're afraid of them dropping over $100 billion into investments, and there's not even that many companies in the world even worth $100 billion, let alone all these big gaming companies, and setting it up for all these other smaller companies where they just can't go and compete. So Microsoft is also set to make the journey to Brussels next week for a potentially make or break meeting with the European Commission over concerns surrounding the deal, which is once again probably where Jim Ryan has a lot of big leverage and where he realizes that this might have been a good time for them to go and debate. They can say like, hey, you got to give us like a 50-year deal or like for forever, perpetuality, and then maybe we'll go give you like some nice words for the European Commission so your deal doesn't get fully blocked. Like, this is right now where Sony has all the leverage, it seems like, and Microsoft is almost gasping, trying to figure out where to go from there. So the EU's European Commission is among three top regulators currently set to block the deal, unless Microsoft offers concessions, alongside the UK's Competition and Markets Authority and the US Federal Trade Commission. Now, of course, this is where a lot of folks have been getting kind of curious in the two as well, because a lot of these types of folks over here, like, we're calling it out. Like, we're seeing, like, Tom Warren be like, bro, like, like, a lot of these things are suggesting that the two firms are meeting to come to a resolution finally. And a lot of folks are kind of curious on this too as well. Now, once again, this is also not confirmed. It's just a lot of big speculation on the day itself, because people are like, yo, why are you even using these private jets? It's like, bro, you're rich, why not? Or like, tracking fights over video games is insanity. It ain't that serious. And I kind of agree on that. I mean, at the same time, it's just kind of weird that people even track flights in the first place. But it's crazy because people are like invested. Like, they want to know. Like, I mean, even I kind of want to know. Like, was this really like, what was this hidden meeting? What happened in Seattle? Was it like just the pure Bungie thing like we talked about? Was there something more? Does Jim Ryan have a random like second wife that we don't know about? Like, I'm one of those speculator types of folks. Like, I love seeing this type of news and I like kind of knowing what's going on. And at the end of the day, what is going on? I want to know. I want to know what's going to happen with this Microsoft deal. It's been going on here for literally months at this point. I want to know. But like I said, it does kind of seem like this is kind of getting a lot more attention than I think most folks were expecting over here. And there's been news articles, there's everything on top of this too. And well, we still don't know the future of what is going to happen to Call of Duty with the Microsoft acquisition, with Acquisition. And at the same time, I think a lot of Xbox people wanted to pass, and then a lot of Sony people were kind of indifferent because it's like, well, I kind of want to be able to go play the GameStop. I don't want to go buy an Xbox. I don't know. It's one of those kind of crazy things we're going to go dive into for the weekend. And as well, give me your thoughts and comments down below. Are we all crazy for tracking jets? Let us know. Make sure you guys are subscribed with the notifications on. We have the Twitter and Twitch stream down below if you guys want to follow. We have the Target and Amazon links too as well if you guys want to check out the consoles and pick them on up. And I appreciate you guys all so much for watching. Have a fantastic weekend if I don't get to go and see you guys all throughout this weekend.